Welcome to a world where creativity meets technology, digital video editing. This is the magic behind the movies, ads, and vlogs you love. It's the art of crafting compelling stories from raw footage, using tools and techniques that bring your vision to life. In this media-centric era, video editing skills have never been more vital. They can transform simple clips into engaging content, capturing the hearts and minds of viewers. So, are you ready to dive into this exciting realm? Today, you'll learn how to craft your own video masterpiece. Before diving into the deep end, understanding the basics is essential. So let's start by discussing some fundamental terms and concepts in the realm of video editing. First up, we have the timeline. This is essentially the backbone of your editing process. It's a visual representation of your video project, showing the sequence and duration of all the clips you're working with. Think of it as a canvas where you arrange and rearrange your video and audio clips to create a masterpiece. Next, let's talk about frames. In video editing, a frame is the smallest unit of measurement. It's a single still image, and when many frames are played in quick succession, they create the illusion of motion. This is how all videos work, from old-school film reels to the latest 4K digital videos. Now, onto transitions. Transitions are the bridges between clips. They guide your viewer from one scene to the next, maintaining the flow of your video. There are loads of transitions you can use, like fades, wipes, and dissolves, each adding a different aesthetic and feel to your video. Last, but most certainly not least, we have cuts. Cuts are the most basic and common type of transition. A cut happens when one clip instantly changes to the next. It's like turning a page in a book, bringing your audience from one moment to the next. Cutting on action, match cuts, jump cuts. These are all types of cuts that you can use to create a dynamic and engaging video. Each has its own unique effect and application, which we'll delve into more in later sections. These concepts, timeline, frames, transitions, and cuts, are the foundation of video editing. They're the tools you'll use to shape raw footage into a compelling narrative, to guide your viewer's experience, and to express your unique creative vision. With these basic concepts, you are ready to explore the exciting world of video editing. So, sharpen your pencils, or rather, your digital scissors, and let's dive deeper into the art and craft of video editing. A craftsman is only as good as his tools. And in the world of digital video editing, your primary tool is your software. Choosing the right one can make all the difference. So let's dive into some of the most popular video editing software options out there, and their key features. First off, we have Adobe Premiere Pro. This is a professional-grade software used by many in the industry. It's packed with advanced features and supports a wide range of video formats. Its integration with other Adobe products like After Effects and Photoshop is also a big plus. However, it does come with a steep learning curve and can be a bit pricey. Next up, we have Final Cut Pro. This is a Mac-exclusive software that's also widely used by professionals. It's known for its speed, efficiency, and its powerful media organization and performance. Its user-friendly interface makes it a favorite among many, but again, it's not the cheapest option out there. For those on a budget, DaVinci Resolve is a great option. It offers professional-grade editing and color grading tools for free. Yes, you heard that right, for free. The paid version offers even more features. However, it does require a powerful computer to run smoothly. Lastly, we have iMovie. It's a beginner-friendly, Mac-exclusive software that's free. It doesn't have the advanced features of the aforementioned options, but it's perfect for simple editing tasks. There are many other options out there like HitFilm Express, Avid Media Composer, and Lightworks, each with their own pros and cons. It's important to consider your budget, your computer's capabilities, and most importantly, what you're comfortable with. Some software might seem daunting at first, but with time and practice, they can become second nature. Also, keep in mind that most of these software provide free trials. So, don't hesitate to try a few out and see which one fits you best. Remember, the best software is the one that suits your needs and comfort. So, choose wisely, and let's get you started on your video editing journey. A well-organized workspace leads to an efficient workflow. This is a mantra that every video editor should live by. Now that we've chosen our editing software, it's time to dive into the world of importing and organizing our footage. First things first, you need to import your footage into your editing software. This process may vary slightly depending on the software you use, but generally it's as simple as clicking on the Import button, navigating to the folder containing your video files, and selecting the ones you want to edit. Now, once your footage is imported, it's time to get organized. Think of your editing software as a canvas, and your footage as your paint. An artist wouldn't mix all their paint together in one big blob. They'd separate it by color, making it easier to pick up the right shade when they need it. The same principle applies to video editing. Start by creating bins or folders within your editing software. Break them down by scene, take, or type of footage. For example, you could have separate bins for interviews, B-roll, and drone shots. This will help you quickly locate the clips you need when you're deep into the editing process. Next, it's a good idea to rename your clips. This might seem like a tedious task, but trust me, it's worth the effort. Instead of having a list of clips named Clip 01, Clip 02, and so on, you can have Interview John, Drone Shot Park, and Brawl Cafe. These descriptive names will make it easier for you to identify each clip at a glance. Lastly, don't forget to save your project regularly. There's nothing worse than spending hours organizing your footage, only for a power cut or software crash to wipe out all your hard work. Make saving a habit, and your future self will thank you. Remember, a well-organized workspace leads to an efficient workflow. The more time you spend organizing your footage at the start of the process, the less time you'll waste searching for clips later on. Now, with everything in place, it's time to start shaping your story. Editing is often about knowing where to cut. It's about understanding the rhythm of your story, the pace of your narrative, and the emotional beats you want to hit. When you look at your raw footage, you'll see that it's a series of moments stitched together. Cutting is your tool to select and arrange these moments in a way that tells your story effectively. It's like being a sculptor, chipping away at the raw material to reveal the masterpiece within. So how do you cut? Well, most editing software makes it as simple as selecting the point on your timeline where you want to make the cut and clicking a button or hitting a shortcut key. You can make a straight cut, which is an abrupt transition from one clip to another. Or you can use a variety of transitions to smooth the change between clips. Transitions are like the glue that holds your clips together. They guide your viewer from one moment to the next, helping to maintain the flow and coherence of your story. There are many types of transitions, from simple crossfades to more complex wipes and dissolves. The type of transition you choose can greatly affect the tone and pace of your video. For instance, a straight cut can create a sense of immediacy and urgency, while a slow fade might evoke a more relaxed or reflective mood. Remember, each cut and transition is a decision, a statement about how you want to tell your story. It's not just about what looks good, but what serves the narrative. Is a certain cut jarring? Good, maybe it should be. Does a transition feel too slow? Perhaps it's time to pick up the pace, but don't be intimidated. With practice, you'll develop a keen sense of timing and rhythm, an instinct for when to cut and when to let a moment linger. And as you experiment with different types of cuts and transitions, you'll discover new ways to shape and share your stories. These cuts and transitions are the building blocks of your video narrative. They are the tools you use to create, to craft, to captivate. So wield them wisely and watch your stories come to life. Ready to take your editing skills to the next level? Well, hold on to your hats, because we're about to dive into the fascinating world of effects and color grading. These elements, when used creatively and judiciously, can transform your video from good to great, making it a visual treat for the viewers. Let's start with effects. Effects can range from simple ones like fades and dissolves to more complex ones like green screen effects, motion graphics, or even 3D effects. Remember, the key to using effects is subtlety. You don't want to overwhelm your audience with a barrage of effects. Instead, use them to enhance the narrative and mood of your video. Now let's move on to color grading. Some say color grading is where the magic happens, and they're not wrong. It's all about enhancing or altering the colors in your video to create a specific mood or atmosphere. Imagine a scene where the protagonist is feeling blue. By applying a cool blue color grade, you can visually communicate the character's emotions to the audience. But how exactly do you color grade a video? Well, it involves manipulating aspects of the video's color, like contrast, saturation, and color balance. Most video editing software comes with color grading tools that allow you to make these adjustments. Experimentation is the key here. Play around with different color grades until you find something that fits the tone of your video. And remember, consistency is crucial. You want to maintain a consistent color grade throughout your video. to create a cohesive visual experience. To sum up, effects and color grading are powerful tools in your video editing arsenal. They can help you create stunning visuals, set the mood, and tell your story more effectively. So go ahead, experiment, and let your creativity run wild. With these techniques, your video will not just tell a story, but tell it beautifully. Silent films are a thing of the past. Let's bring your video to life with sound. Just as the color palette can set the mood of your video, the soundscape can define its rhythm and tone. Not only does it add depth to your storytelling, but it can also guide your viewer's emotional response. To start, we need to understand the three main elements that make up a video's soundscape: dialogue, sound effects, and music. Dialogue is the spoken word captured in the video. It's the conversations between characters or the voiceover that guides the narrative. In your editing software, you can adjust the volume of the dialogue track, clean up any background noise, and even enhance the speaker's voice with equalization. Next are sound effects. These can be anything from the rustling of leaves to the roar of a city. Sound effects give context to the visuals and can heighten the sensory experience of the viewer. You can add these by importing sound files into your project and placing them on the timeline where they best complement the visuals. Finally, there's music. The right song or instrumental track can elevate your video to new heights. When adding music, remember to balance it with your dialogue and sound effects. You don't want your music drowning out your speakers or overpowering your sound effects. Use the volume controls into your software to find the right balance. While editing your soundscape, remember to keep it dynamic. Just like your visuals, your sound should have highs and lows. This will keep your viewers engaged and make your video feel more alive. And there you have it. By layering dialogue, sound effects, and music, you've created a rich soundscape that enhances your visual narrative. Experiment with different sounds, levels, and tracks to find what works best for your project. Now, your video can speak and sing, adding depth to your storytelling. Your video has now been transformed from a silent sequence of images to a symphony of visuals and sound, and that's the power of sound editing. All the hard work leads to this, your finished video. So you've cut, you've transitioned, you've colored, and you've incorporated sound. Now let's bring it all together. Exporting your final product is the step where your creative endeavor takes flight, where it becomes shareable, viewable, and ready to make an impact. First, let's talk about formats. The format you choose will depend on where your video is headed. Are you uploading it to social media, sending it via email, or perhaps showcasing it on a large screen? Different platforms and devices have different ideal formats, and it's essential to choose the right one for your needs. For instance, if you're intending to share your video on social media platforms, MP4 is a widely accepted format. It offers high quality and is compatible with most platforms. On the other hand, if you're planning to burn your video onto a DVD or Blu-ray, you might want to consider the MPEG-2 format. This format is specifically designed for such purposes and can provide excellent quality on larger screens. Now let's move on to settings. The settings you choose can dramatically affect the quality and size of your video. Here, we're talking about things like resolution, frame rate, and bit rate. The resolution of your video refers to the number of pixels displayed on the screen. More pixels mean a higher quality image, but also a larger file size. Meanwhile, frame rate refers to how many frames your video displays per second. A higher frame rate can make your video appear smoother, but again, it will increase your file size. Bit rate, on the other hand, is a measure of the amount of data processed per unit of time. A higher bit rate generally results in better video quality, but it also means a larger file size. In conclusion, exporting your final product is a balancing act. You need to strike the right balance between quality and file size, while also considering your final destination platform. Congratulations! You've just created your very own video masterpiece. Let's take a moment to reflect on our editing journey. We began with an introduction to digital video editing, moved on to the basics, then chose the right software. We imported and organized our footage, cut and transitioned scenes, and dove into advanced editing with effects and color grading. We added sound and music and finally exported our final product. It's been quite a ride, hasn't it? Keep practicing, keep creating, and remember, every great filmmaker started with a single cut.